Hi guys, this is aNew. So right now, I just wanted to have this this time right now as if we are just chatting. But while we are chatting, I'm going to share. Okay, the word that is coming is quite significant. Messages that I received the day before the solar eclipse, on the day, and yesterday, the day after. So it has to do with what's going on with Gaia's energy right now that's going to affect everyone and everything on Gaia at this time. So take however resonates and leave what doesn't, as always. So I actually have my latte with me. I just made this latte. The last 2 days I've been drinking chai latte. Today I'm having my coffee. So I actually was like, I found this organic coffee mixed with, was it lion's mane mushroom, like in the supermarket. So I thought I'd try, and then I just I added like really like little bit, not too much coffee. So I just put it in a pot with water and then brew it. Just put the powder in there and then just brew it briefly, because I don't want to have like too much caffeine. But there are times that I feel called to drink this for a grounding effect. And for some reason, getting like ice americano or espresso outside at the shop, and this one is like very different frequency. This is a lot milder. I don't know if it's because I'm using less coffee, but yeah, it's interesting. So I've been enjoying this, and so if you want to drink something, bring your drink with me. So I just wanted to ask you, how you guys all been doing? Are you guys doing all right? Because the energy has been very intense. A lot of transformative energies during this lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, especially the 999 portal, throughout the month of Virgo season, and still like we are having the second new moon in Virgo. So it's very significant in a sense that we are closing out major cycles, and cycles meaning not just like this cycle in this lifetime, but what I just saw like this morning was like portals after portals after portals after portals, meaning these portals connecting to all these different past timelines that your soul chose to experience and experiment. So perhaps it goes back to 500 years ago, or like 1,000 years before, or just a couple of 100 years ago, whatever it is for you. It's all closing out right now, because all this things that we are experiencing, like so-called karma, trauma, wounds, however it is, survival instincts, is all connected to these timelines. And especially these timelines were major experimentations of the age of Leo that started the hierarchical, the paternal based, the masculine oriented society that we built as part of a big experiment. And with that, we were experiencing a lot of the martyr, the victim, the predator mentality, and nowadays, you know, the so-called narcissistic personality types, and all these are byproducts of these experimentations that is tied to extreme ego operation. So now we are in a very, 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 gestation is the word that is coming, period. It's not like even you are having the baby, you're just gestating. Season of going back to operating from a soul. And this is not an easy task, right? Because like there's a saying, what's coming is old habits die hard, right? So we've been repeating all this old habits, patterns, thought patterns, belief systems, and like all these limiting beliefs and ideas and lack mentalities and habits of judging each other, judging self, and just in general, like all these lower vibrational energies out of fear, which was a major play element in the survival era. So we needed to survive, basically. So you've had many lives, if not just one or two or a couple. You probably had many lives living under extreme poverty, extreme lack, extreme ego play, power struggle, extreme wars and famines, and extreme mind playing, extreme torture and punishment. When we look at like even just 100 or a couple hundred years ago, or even before, all the civilizations, like this torture, right? If you spoke, or if you didn't speak, you were tortured basically. And for speaking your truth, you were tortured. For not speaking your truth, you were tortured. So when you die, you accumulate all this like trauma. So now we're releasing all of that. And even though it may play out in a different form, and every individual has different, what is coming is like a highlight, the meaning, like a major pattern or major theme that they're to focus on. It's all different, but it's all interrelated, and we can all relate to each other's pain when we open our hearts, because we have experienced it in ourselves, and we call that compassion, right? Or empathy. And when we start to operate on that, it's like your pain is my pain, meaning I am you, you are me. Therefore we are one, and we are not going to hurt each other. We can't, because it's like hurting ourselves. But when we don't remember that, when we start to continue to play to survive, like it's like a survival game, like a video game, right? You just like focus so much on surviving yourself. You don't have the space on a mental, emotional level to connect to things around you. You see, so you keep playing the survival. And when you keep playing the survival, meaning you are going to continue to be in a state of lack, assuming lack, living lack, right? Expecting lack, therefore showing up in your reality, meaning manifesting lack constantly with your thoughts, beliefs, that's deep inside in your fears. So all this coming up has been pretty intense, but this wasn't like all coming at once in the last 2-3 weeks during this eclipse season, but they've been preparing us, right? They've been helping us to go through like little cycles of death and rebirth, weighing into our wounds and traumas and shadows, egoic aspects, the last 2 years very intensely. So this is like the final stage, right? But still, it could feel a little bit chaotic One day you're okay, the next day you're like feeling certain emotions, or you're starting to experience something that you don't want to feel, right? But you have to look in and face those fears. So yeah, I just wanted to like check in on you guys, that how you've been all doing, whether you've been crying a lot or just crying for no reason, the tears coming out. If it happened, it's you're just clearing out. But sometimes you know why you're crying, sometimes you have no idea why, and it's just sudden like coming up, and that's more like purging out the old water in your vessels needs to be released. So it's just coming out. And then sometimes you may suddenly feel all this anxiety arising, or you're suddenly feeling this fear all of a sudden. Then you need to go in and re-examine, and meaning like meditate. But meditation doesn't mean like you have to like go do this and close your eyes, and you know, you can meditate anywhere. You can meditate while watching TV, you can meditate while watching movie, you can meditate while walking, you can meditate while lying down, just before going to bed, or just after you wake up, or you can meditate while you're cooking, or just having a break, or it's just a state of you going into your center. So the things that you're doing or you're engaging sometimes can either help you to meditate or can distract you to meditate, but it depends on how you utilize it. So if you allow them to be your tools for you to observe and notice something in that moment and be aware, it's going to help you. So because this idea of meditation can put you so much pressure as well, as if like it's a to-do. It's like, oh, I gotta take some time off to meditate and look into myself and all these emotions. It can flow very naturally. You can just take a walk outside. Just that your state of mind needs to be in a state of observance, right? Observing yourself. So the message that came yesterday, no, not yesterday, on the day before, on the night before going into the 21st of September, which was the solar eclipse. So I suddenly received the energy of Shiva and Parvati started to come through, and all this Hindu goddesses energies. And with that, the story came, and later I meditated on it, and it was relating to what was going on with Gaia's energy during that solar eclipse time, and that all the information that I was receiving, I had to like consolidate and connect the dots. So on the 21st, when I woke up on the solar eclipse day, I received the information that there was like a earthquake in Turkey. And then with that, I received the information, the pineal gland of Gaia is that area, that region, the Turkish region. So there was a huge shakeup in that energy clearing in Gaia. So that's where we are heading next, clearing further of the third eye and connecting the third eye to the heart is what came. And then this needs to further stay open to navigate through the illusions and shatter the illusions, basically. So that's the next step that we are to head. And with that, on the night of 20, what came was like the Shakti energy, the Kundalini rising, the Phoenix, so-called Phoenix rising, which I have been receiving the information like prior to that day. That's like Kundalini, meaning like the energy of the spine in a physical vessel that carries that energy. And so basically the root starting the rising of the serpent. So a lot of that serpent energy that, you know, that my timeline Isis is working with serpent a lot, the Kundalini. So with the base, the root, the serpents start to rise like this. And that's representing the rising of the Kundalini. And it's been very much blocked, right? The root chakra, the sacral, solar plexus. So we were starting to do that, right? The root has a lot of that fear-based survival energies. And when we are about to break out of that era, the serpent starts to move, wanting to rise up through the spine, the energy, both the electrical and magnetic, right? The two, like representing this, meaning electric representing the masculine energy, the magnetic representing the feminine energy. So we've been working on that. And then we had to use a lot of the fire energy, which I share when I first came here, that I share like when I was in Hanoi, in my dream time, I believe. I saw these waves. I don't know if it was Hanoi or even before. Hanoi for sure. Start to see the waves, and the age of the waves was fire, so that representing water and the fire as one, and then it's moving together in a flow state. That's where what we are embodying right now, or that's what we are being called to embody. That is a must. The word that is coming on is quite strong, right? Because it's a must. We must embody that in order to transition fully to the new earth. So it's called Manipura, right? The Manipura energy in the solar plexus. We needed to use that fire. The sacred fire has been a very big theme the past few months, especially the past couple of months. The sacred fire was anchored to the rage, meaning the anger and resentment towards injustice. And that was the major energy that we're living with, right, in the age of survival. Like, basically when you look at all these like historical dramas around the world, we just live with injustice all the time, like within family dynamics, within society, it was like, if not less, it's like, if it's not more, like, what's the word, you know what I mean, like, it was very severe. And still to this day, there is a lot of injustice that's happening at workplace, wherever you work, or in schools. And so every single individual's experience this, whether they can verbalize it or articulate it consciously or not. So we all have that experience and energy with us. And so that fire energy has been channeled in such negative force, in anger and resentment, that it was fueling the survival in us, the root chakra, meaning fueling the energy of fear, or feeding the energy of fear, meaning the more the angrier the angrier that you get, the more resentful that you stay. You are actually in the energy of fear, meaning you believe that you're a victim so strongly, with such strong conviction. You see what I mean? That was the belief that we were used to, which is quite an old habit that we also inherited in ourselves through one generation to the next, with all this, like the body and the physical features that this nose is not just my nose. In this nose there's my grandmother, grandpa, like great grandmother, great 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 great, like all these like ancestors, right? So for you it's the same, like that's how it works. So we have this knee-jerk reaction to certain things for no reason, but it's not for no reason, but it's deep in the subconscious or unconscious. So the past 2 months especially, or if like three, 4 months, we've been heavily preparing ourselves to, the word that is coming is alchemize. Alchemize this fire within you, within everyone. That, that's, it's called, like in human language term, like it's termed as like a sacred fire that was used as a poison. So now we have to turn that into that sacred fire. We need to like balance out the solar plexus, which is also tied to a lot of the egoic operation. So we have to balance that out by dropping the ego, meaning like we don't get rid of ego, but we integrate the ego, meaning we kind of like, in a way, like in the tarot, the lady or the taming the lion. So we needed to tame the ego, quiet the ego, or calm down the ego. It's like calm down, chill, cool, and then so that we use this fire energy that we've been using, like basically to revenge, to prove yourself, like to the world, that people didn't believe you, or people like wronged you or something like that. So it was more like that energy of revenge was being carried from one generation to the next, like retaliation. So when you look at all these historical dramas, right, it's all about revenge, it's all about retaliating. So that's where the killing happens over and over and over, and it carries down to the next generation. Please revenge for me, son or daughter. Please kill those people who killed our family or our entire tribe, So it goes on and on and on and on. So that anger was so fired up, they used as like so much will and determination and strength to revenge. But now we are to calm down, chill, right? Cool, everything's gonna be okay. Like, you don't need to revenge, right? You don't need to retaliate, just let it go. But it's hard to let it go because it's been such a reinforced habit for so many centuries. You see what I mean? But that's what we are doing. That's why if you're healing yourself, like releasing traumas, you're doing a great job. You're doing an enormous work right now. It's something that I want to like share also to myself as well, that we don't really recognize it at times, right? That how much work that we are doing, and how many ancestors that we are freeing at this time in spirit. So good job, first of all, if you resonate, right? If you resonate, of course, well done. And it goes to me as well. I want to also recognize my hard work as well. So so that's what's been happening. And then we needed to use that fire energy to channel in a different direction. Like, it was going this way, now wait a second, recenter, right? Recenter. And that's where a lot of this consciousness, like all these videos, like shorts videos that I shared about consciousness and manifestation, it's all interrelated. Directing your energy consciously, right? So now we are using that as the sacred fire. And how does that work? Sacred fire works to transmute all these lower vibrational habits or still projections that's maybe coming from the karmic ties or people around you, random strangers, because this is like a virtual reality game. So you go outside, some people can have a very negative reaction to your energy, especially if you're walking with a lot of light or has a lot of light in your aura, or you are very authentic in your presence. Just you being in their presence literally triggers them. They have a reaction and they will start to project hate or start to project certain very strong negativity that they hold inside because they're so unconscious. They're not looking in. They want to throw it out because it doesn't make them feel comfortable. And this is happening, this process is happening very much unconsciously, very much instantaneously when you're unconscious. So whether it's like these random energies, because right now there are a lot of negativities around the world, and whether it's from the connections that you stepped out of because you no longer resonate, meaning simply that your energies do not match anymore. So they're very in a heavy place. You're moving, going lighter and lighter and lighter, and it's not, everything is energy frequency in match to that, in resonance. So when it's not in match, the simply like you just move in a different direction. So that's where a lot of the movements are coming. Relocation, the idea of relocation is coming in a symbolic sense and literal sense, right? Take however resonates. That, you know, you don't feel resonating with the job or the title that you hold or this person that you're with, the family members you are with, meaning like your blood family members, could be all like karmics or like so-called friends, close friends or best friends or close colleagues. But it was all serving a purpose in that time, but their role playing is done, is ended, it's finished. So now the only way for an individuals who are resonating with that is to move to another move to a new space, however it is, symbolically, literally, where you're going to be matched with individuals who are on the same vibrational resonance with you. You see what I mean? That's where the idea of soul tribe or soul family comes in, and a lot of these soul tribes and soul families are going to start to show up because it also has a bigger purpose to build a community and then serve each other in a collaborative and cooperative manner rather than in competition, right? That winning or losing, that mentality. So if you've been working on the shadow aspect, you're naturally going to match up with people who support you, lifts you up, encourages you, and they will clap for you if you're doing well. They're naturally going to celebrate for you and with you, right? That's the energy, because that's the energy that you embody yourself. You're no longer in competition with other people, or secretly holding envy or jealousy that's tied to the energy of competitiveness, meaning that is rooted from that duality of the age of darkness, or the age of Leo experimentation that started that whole cycle, right? Where it's about the ego. The ego wants to either win or dominate, and they don't want to lose. And so that's the role playing, or that was the pattern. So basically they will do anything to, so that's why when you sense someone feeling intimidated by you, reacting for no reason in a negative way, or suddenly projecting, you can sense the energy, right? Whether someone's clapping for you for real, or with hidden intentions or agendas that they're not being transparent, basically, because they haven't worked with their energy to be their authentic self. So they're still in a lot of hiding, because they're afraid if they show this side of them, then they're not going to be liked, meaning they're not going to be accepted, meaning they're going to be alone, meaning they're going to feel lonely, meaning they're going to feel empty inside, meaning they were so used to depending on other people feeding their energy to them through validation, through external praise, or through being seen by others, through being heard by others as something that they tie to a belief that if they get that, if they receive that, they're worthy, or they are of value. You see what I mean? So it's all tied to the external conditions. So that's why they keep playing that comparison dynamic, is all because at the end of the day they want to feel like they're winning. And to win on the outside, you must have someone that loses. You see what I mean? Otherwise it's no fun for them to play the game. So that's why they go round. So if that's the energy, they're going to still be in that game of survival. It's like the game of, I don't know, I don't play video games, but like, you know, like the game of what's coming is like Game of Thrones or something like that. That's for some reason, I don't know what that is about. I don't know whether it's a game or a movie like that is coming. Like they want to be the throne, they want to have the throne. They're still playing this game. They're still like playing the survival game. So if they're playing that, they're going to be in match with people who carry the same energy resonance, have that competitive energy within them. So they need to play a certain role for each other, whether it's to trigger someone to revenge. But through that trigger, they need to look into their ego side and stop that cycle. And if they do, they will move on to the next game, right? Which is another one, and then move on to the next and next, and that's how you ascend, basically. But if you keep getting triggered and you want to revenge back or retaliate back, or use that sacred fire energy to feel that survival like that, you're repeating the same cycle over and over. So you cannot pass or move to the next level of the game. You see what I mean? Like in a video game. You're just going around in circle, like chasing after your tail. So we call that karma, and we are moving to dharma. But you gotta cut the cycle of the karma in order to move to dharma. So that's basically the idea, in a like a kind of easy way to understand that I'm trying right now for anyone resonating to have a bigger perspective. So that's just how it is. That's just how it is. This is really like a virtual game, but virtual game with real emotions. That's why it's not so much fun at times, right? Because you know that it's a game, but the emotions that you feel is so real. Like you feel fear so much, you suddenly feel this anxiety for no reason. You can just talk to someone and ask about it, but like, oh my God, you just freeze, like, because there's so many, like so much fear energy or anxiety coming up, or this nervousness, whatever it is. But it's tied to that deep-rooted fear of the survival going down. That it's basically like this idea that if you ask for something, and if they hear you when in deep survival, you used to believe that as like you winning, because others are approving you, others are validating you. But if they say, oh, they cannot do it, or it's not possible, it's very subconscious and unconscious play. You immediately take that as a rejection. And when we go into the history of like all these like other timelines in a linear time sense, when you were rejected, meaning you said something, they didn't agree with you, you said something, it wasn't received well, and usually you were tortured, meaning like you were punished severely, and alienated, ostracized. So there's a huge collective trauma as well, or that trauma from the past, generational trauma that's been handed down from the survival era. And so you immediately, on a subconscious, deep unconscious level, you perceive it as like a rejection, as you losing. You see how that works? It's very intricate, but that's how it plays. And that leads to that idea of feeling disappointed. And you don't want to get disappointed. So that's why you don't even bother asking, because you are trying to protect yourself, meaning you are in a defensive mode. You're defending your heart to not get hurt or feeling that pain. So when you have the trauma, even though the environment is totally different, it's like that dogs, right? When a dog that's like out on the street had been abused, when they first meet a new family who's has loving intentions, it takes a while for the dog to get used to that new environment that's loving and tender, that they're not to harm them, but they're so used to people harming them, so they're like, they get angry, they bark, and they're ready to like bite you or be very aggressive, right? It's all to protect themselves from that wound or the trauma. You see that animal instinct, we have that as well. It's not just playing out like that, but you know, on a psychological level as well, on an emotional level. So we are trying to protect our heart. So that's where our heart was being very closed down. So we are opening that up with compassion, with love, so the major theme has been learning to trust again, which is again not an easy task, because there are so many layers to that. But we are doing it one by one, one by one. If you've been following the astrological energies and doing all this like diligently, working on yourself, meaning, you know, when it was time, you reflected, right, rather than directing it towards other people, or you noticed your own reactions and took ownership of it. So basically the only way, I would say, to get out of the victim mentality is to own your emotion. You see, victim ownership, that idea. Why is it victim? Because you don't own yourself. Like, you need outside validation, or outside has the key to unlock you. You're locked up. That's the victim. Ownership meaning you have the key and you have everything. You have everything to get out of this. You see, simply. So that's why it's so important to like feel all your emotions. That's where it comes from, because you have to take ownership. And once you start to take ownership, you start to be basically the master or the director of your life. The victim is never a master. The master is always outside, holding the power over them, you see? But the victim, the owner, is a master of their own reality. So the victim is gone, basically. So when you look into your emotions, especially the so-called negative emotions, and own them, meaning I shared in a recent video how you just accept by being vulnerable with your own self that I'm feeling this. So that's emotional intelligence, or emotional openness, or emotional availability. And when someone doesn't have this ability, it's very important for that person to give and receive love in any form of relationship. So it will come back to haunt you in a way, if that hasn't been taken care of, basically. And when it shows up, you will close out and you will start to not communicate how you really feel, what's going on inside you with the person that you love or your partner. And there could be a lot of misunderstandings and also built up emotions that lead to like a bigger frustration or lashing out, or it could create a lot of sabotage, right? So that's why it's very important for us to clear this up right now, is what is coming. So the sacred fire is to use that fire energy that now it's like, I'm gonna own this. It's like it's this fire, but not in a like a warrior to fight, to kill, but this like warrior that is so determined, so willing to own my life, like claim your life. So reclaiming your life, that's like the sacred fire. And when you do that, you start to transmute all these other energies. I'm not going to hold on to anger. I'm not going to hold on to hatred. I'm not going to hold on to this. I'm going to now use that to direct my life, to create my life, to whatever that needs to be released, I'm going to release, like this kind of determination, channeling in a different way. Okay, that's like the Manipura energy that came through. And then heart, and going up to the heart, like the serpent is rising right now. It's the new music. What came was the new music, the new harmony. So with that, you start to, which I shared like earlier this year, that I received when I was in Osaka, Japan. I started to like constantly received messages of music, new music, and that was about that. The rising of the serpent. It's rising up, and now it's in the heart, and the heart needs to feel harmonious in order for it to stay open again and trust again. Because in the age of survival, when you, once again, the reference is all the historical dramas that just basically everyone can relate to, right? And why? Because we experienced it in one way or another. And so we have this subconscious memory. And when we go into it, you couldn't trust anyone in the survival era, basically. Maybe like your so-called, if you were to merge with your soulmate, so-called like a devoted, unconditional love, or loving partner, or like a person, whether it's like a family member, whether it's like a partner, whether it's like a colleague or a camaraderie relationship, however it is, if you experience that, there is still that energy memory. But basically all other stuff, all other people, everyone was playing the survival. So in survival, there's only one survivor at the end. So everybody, it's like the, what is it? The Squid Game is coming. I've never seen the Squid Game, but basically like, I think it's the idea that in order to be the last winner of the prize, you need to basically play this game and kill everyone. But it's showing like the also that we are not a machine. So there's a lot of emotions involved, like guilty conscience, and then that humane energies, right? But we have to kill to survive. So you could have killed someone that you really loved because you felt like you had no choice, but you actually had a choice, but you didn't want to die, right? And so you kill the other person in order for you to sustain life, basically to live, meaning survive. And that's the karmic relationship that you just created. So in the next life, you meet somehow, you have to figure out, right, all that stuff. So basically that's, and there were a ton of misunderstandings when that happened, right? This person who trusted you, devoted their life, all of a sudden, you believed dying that the person killed you and betrayed you, but in fact, sometimes they were not. Or it's a vice versa. Or a lot of the things were not communicated. So there was a belief. Also there was like outside interferences as well to make you believe in a certain way that they betrayed you or that they did you. Or sometimes it shows up as people who appeared to be very generous and loving and accepting towards you. At the end, before you die, you realize they had a hidden intention. They were doing this because they were scared that you had more power than you. So they played the game in order to survive. But when it was time that you lost your power or you were out of your throne, they changed. They took out their mask and then revealed their true side, where they were just playing a fool or playing kind in order to survive. So you will see all this like people, they act like a fool, they act like, you know, like a strip bomb or something, where they live this life for years and years and years, and it was part of their plan to revenge. So people don't see them as a threat, you see what I mean? But while that was happening, they were planning for revenge and all these things that we see and in movies, it happened for real and you live through it for real. So imagine when you're in it, the extreme trauma. So now we had all these beliefs that were blocking the heart, closing the heart, meaning like defending the heart, meaning like to protect it, you are closing it. You hid it. You see what I mean? So you stop believing that people are good. You stop believing that you can't trust anyone, that you stop believing. So we went into even more extreme masculinity, whether you're female or male in this lifetime, or in gender sense, right? Or in other lifetimes, that you went into extreme masculinity in order to survive. You closed this heart to trust, to stay open, to allow, to simply receive. Why? Because it was so unsafe around you all the time, that era, the environment. So we are doing this again. Another not so easy task, but doable task once again, that we are learning to slowly. It's a new time, it's a new era, and so it's okay to open up. It's okay to get in touch with your emotions again. It's okay to express how you really feel. You don't have to hide your emotions to not offend someone, or not to avoid being rejected by a group or a family or a society, right? That you saw as losing yourself, meaning death. So in survival, the biggest fear is death. But right now, we have to get used to death, meaning like in a symbolic death, meaning dying, meaning just like letting everything go, surrendering in that moment, meaning releasing all control, like in a yoga pose. Like at the very end, there's a death pose where you just lie down, breathe, relax everything as if you're in a coffin. And in that moment, you can look into yourself, you can observe yourself. So when you go into that total relaxation, release all control and tension, easing. That's the process of death or dying, in a symbolic sense, in an analogy sense. So we need to learn to do that, but relaxing was so difficult in a survival era. So I remember like when I was in the corporate world, like at one point I started to realize every time like I received a call from from my superior that like a tight deadline, or like really tight deadline to make this target or something, a lot of pressure, right, to perform, or to call someone up to make them join this or like do this. Like my body was always like tense, like extreme like tension. So I was aware of it at one point, and I just had to like release. But still, like even though I was trying to breathe, like body was so like tense. So that's like the years of trauma, the centuries of trauma in our cell, and then it's just being triggered. And so we're still living in this system. It's not just a battle with like swords and guns, and like we still have guns, but like it's more like psychological weapons right now. So we need to learn to do this again, that we have to drop all winning or losing, the competitive mind, and we have to, because we have to go into a collaborative mind, cooperating mind. So usually that involves a lot of strategizing when it's losing or winning, just to win a favor. There's like a natural, subconscious, unconscious manipulation going on all the time. And so you need to be aware of all of this, and the only way is to own, once again, the ownership. And the ownership comes through the death, the easing of yourself, meaning like observe, not play the game anymore. You need to take a break from playing a game, basically. Okay, like I'm gonna take a break, 5-minute break from playing this game, and then observe the game. So that's what you need to do. Do you get this idea? Like meditation, reflection. So you need to see everything clearly, like as if you're watching a movie of your own play. So that's where it comes from. And with that, you are now using the fire to redirect and say, I believe in love. I believe in good. I believe in abundance. I believe in this. And you start to create your new music. And that's going to help open up the heart chakra, heal the heart, because you stop believing whatever it is. But like, the believing is something that in a neutral perspective, that happens just like manifesting. It happens all the time automatically. So it's like, it's not that you need to learn how to believe to trust, or it's not that you need to learn how to love, believe in love. It's more like you need to release what buried your heart. Like, you know, your heart is still like heart. It has a lot of love, but because you needed to hide it, pretend that you don't have heart, like you have to be very like ruthless, and in order to like, you had to be like insensitive to kill someone that you love just to survive. You see what I mean? Like in a Squid Game, like for example, even though they may have won the throne, the trauma that they carry, they're not free. So like the burial, now the things, that the layers that you've been bearing in your heart now needs to be lifted off once again, and then one layer, and then another layer, and one layer, like this. There's constant layer, 33 chambers of the heart that I shared in the latest video that started to happen, take place majorly in the March 2023, the heart chakra opening, major. And so we are now at a point where we were learning to create new music at the end, at the beginning of this year in 2025, because the energy was right. The Gaia's, so all this was happening in match to the Gaia's transformation process as well. So we are like now learning to go back is the word that is coming. Go back to you, go back to yourself, go back home. That I am love, that I am this, I am safety, I am security, all this idea of I am, that is tied to that. It's rooting that energy with the roots, and then you are learning or relearning or reteaching yourself that the environment has changed. So this environment is something that you can feel safe in, that you're protected in, like that the street dog that was traumatized or being abused, being adopted to a new loving family. It's like adjustment, adapting, learning again that it's okay. Like they constantly give love, and the dog needs to learn, right, that they're not to harm you. So the dog starts to heal, meaning starts to open up, so starts to get giggly, bubbly, joyful, lively, you know, like adorable again. Before it was scary, like fierce and very aggressive and sharp and you know, like very dangerous. So in a sense, you could be that. You were very dangerous in that negative sense of aggressivity. So you have to be extremely independent, meaning going into extreme masculinity. Or some people could go into extreme codependency when it's very heavy with victimization. And usually that codependency is related to a lot of emotional manipulation. You see, like in a historical drama, once again, all these concubines, they were always fighting the female energies, the divine feminine energy that was blocked. They compete with each other. You see what I mean? But they cannot be the king. So what they do is they will try to have the king in their own hands. The only way is to manipulate the king. So that's like the female energy or the feminine energy manipulation. It could be like play out in a male or a female in a gender way, but that's what I'm talking about, right? Codependency, getting power through someone that you perceive as more powerful, has more power. So that's why there's a lot of that relationship of codependency, right? That's very abusive, but they depend on each other. They need each other to feed off of that negative energy from each other. And also extreme independence, meaning you just have to be basically in control of every little thing. Otherwise, you will go into extreme anxiety, extreme restlessness, nervousness, unsettled feelings. So you just plan out every single thing to a fine details. If you don't, you're not used to that state. So all this and we need to we are balancing that out, right? The healed masculine and healed feminine. And new music, once again, is through the harmonization process, the harmonics. The Metatron's cube is coming right now, which has been coming up a few days ago with Mother Mary. So okay, it's coming the Mother Mary's energy had been very much prevalent the past month, and especially during the eclipse season. For individuals to connect. So if Mother Mary has been showing up or that you've been connecting with, your energy perhaps is ready to further heal, and that your energy body is ready to merge with Archangel Mary. Did I say Mother Mary or Archangel Mary? So I meant Archangel Mary anyways. So that Archangel Mary's energy is to fuse you with the energy of compassion and empathy, to open up your heart again, to be able to give love and also to receive love. When you're in extreme independence, you're not really in touch with your emotions. You just closed it up. And so you cannot trust anybody. So the only ways for you to survive is to control every single thing outside of yourself. So you're unable to communicate your emotions, or how you express how you really feel, all these things, right? And it affects other relationships. And so you go into that, or if it's codependency, you know that it's not serving you anymore. It's more abusive or narcissistic, but you stay there, even though you know that it's toxic, because basically the reason why we stay in this toxic or unhealthy so-called patterns is because of the need. It has to do with the root chakra, once again, the survival. And the survival, you develop this belief that you needed this in order to survive. So you need to look into the area. What did I believe that I need in order to feel safe? Even though it's an illusion. You see what I mean? It has a full sense of security. So you thought, meaning you have this need that you need to allow these people for you to not feel like you're alone or you're rejected, or you have this need which is tied to a belief that need to win, that you need to not feel disappointed, so you close down your heart. So you're basically, not to get rejected, you're rejecting everyone else. You see what I mean? Before they can reject you. You see, like a defending stance. So it's all like related to this heart area that's all connected to basically the lower chakras. And now the harmonic resonance. Heart opening with Mother Mary, compassion, where you're seeing through a bigger perspective, meaning like that movie watching. You see everyone's playing a role. They're all like playing survival, just like you. And they have their own wounds and pains, and they're defending and they're fighting just like you. And with that, what's the point of revenge, right? You have to realize something. Awakening needs to happen within you. And with that awakening, like this threshold, this like turning point, you switch your perspective. And with switching your perspective, you start to use your power to believe, that you used your power to believe in a very negative sense, because that's what you thought you needed in survival. You see how it's tied? You thought that you needed to believe, that you needed to assume the worst in order to have control over, in order to prepare yourself for the worst, because that was what was happening all the time. Or that whatever that's good that's taking place, it could be gone in a second, right? You're always preparing for the worst. And that was the belief. So you believed in it. Now, it's not that you need to learn how to believe, but you just need to shift. You see what I mean? Direct or channel it in a different way. That you still have the power to believe, meaning your power of belief is still there, but you are just doing it in a different direction. Meaning, I am safe now. I believe I'm safe. I believe I am this. But this is not just doing it because on a mental level, you're just reiterating as a scheme or a strategy. So that's not going to work. If you're doing it as a strategy, it's not going to work, because you have to really shift your energy. So that's why the clicking needs to happen, the turning point or the threshold, or that the awakening needs to happen, the realization. And with that, your energy is shifting all of a sudden, and then you realize something in that moment. You're releasing a ton of old energies just by realizing, just by being aware, okay? And then with that, you no longer need to carry this, but it's just the old pattern or habits that kick back constantly. So you need to go back and forth and rework, and when it shows up again, that's why we say it's not an easy task, but it's doable, of course, it's capable. That's why we talk about like trusting the process and staying patient. It's all like part of this game, because once you realize or you're aware of what was going on, the energy is being released already. But then the old patterns start to kick in, the old habits, and they pull you back. They want you to go back to your comfort zone. You see what I mean? So that's where all this trusting comes. So now you're using your power of belief to trust in a different direction. That's also using the Manipura energy to constantly transmute these old patterns kicking in, old energies coming back, right? Transmuting, saying no, no, no. So that's where I'm making all these videos, short videos on discernment, right? Asserting yourself, not in an arrogant sense, but from this knowing sense, right? That you are moving now to this direction creating new music. Now you're doing it proactively because you have to learn to be a beginner again. You have to be like a newborn baby again, learning everything new, which is not familiar. So it's an unfamiliar territory. It's not a comfortable place, just like a little baby, right? You're learning how to say I love. You're learning how to say I trust. You're learning how to say I believe in all the good that's happening in my life. And you're learning how to say I'm grateful for everything that's surrounding me, that's supporting me, that's abundant right now. You weren't used to it. You were used to assuming the worst all the time to prepare for the worst, which is the lack, survival. You see how that works? So that's the new music, the new harmony. And then we are moving to the throat, which we were using our voice, our words, spoken words, right? With words, we could kill someone, basically. You see what I mean? You say something so devastating to the person. You say something so threatening to the person could decide to kill themselves or harm themselves or do something bad. And this word is so powerful that we've been using. So with this, what came was the Excalibur, which had been coming to me since I believe that energy, that message came to me with King Arthur. All of a sudden, the Excalibur, like I think at the end of 2022, I didn't know what that was about, and all of a sudden, like March 2023, I received clarity. And then again, when like really like definite clarity, like recently, that sword, the Excalibur, it's not for everyone. That sword is not for everyone. It's only for those who are to speak their truth, to use their voice of the truth and authenticity for the good of all. Because the sword, once again, could be used to harm or kill others. We say others, but like in this era, it's all just brothers and sisters. We just forgot that we are all family. And so we've been killing our family members all the time. If it's not literal sword, with words, with psychological torture. If it's not physical torture. You see what I mean? Emotional torture. So that's not to be, so only those, so that's where the idea of like this idea of chosen and all these things come, like in spiritual community, right? It's basically whether it's all based on your energy levels, and how much of your core signature radiance is opened up, or meaning like all the layers that been bearing has been lifted off, basically, because you always carry this core signature. And that core signature on a soul level is also different, right? You could be a very ancient soul, you could be a relatively new soul. So depending on that, your level of spiritual power is different, right? But in a human world, we are so much in comparison and competitiveness that we get threatened when you see someone like being very powerful in their own energy, right? And that's just a trigger. It threatens you because you have so much survival instinct, the fear in you, that if they're more powerful, what do they perceive as? They have power over you, because meaning immediately you see that as a threat because they could kill you. That's the survival energy. That's why they feel threatened. Even though it's not going to happen, that's still the assumption, the belief. So they, for no reason, they react out of like that traumatized, abused dog. They act out in abused place. They're like, right? This person has no intentions to hurt you, but you're like, you're playing this game here. So there's this division that is happening right now between the people who are here and people who are, or I would say like this way. Whatever it is, you know, this way you constantly assume that it's like higher lower duality, so I'm just doing this, right? This part just playing this survival game, this part I'm done playing, I'm done killing, I'm done doing all that. I'm moving to a very harmonious place, more peace, more love, more joy, more inspiration, collaboration, cooperation here. Or they hide their face, right? They mask. And it's all strategized because they have to win, basically. You see that idea? So that's where a lot of this like ambitious mind, we need to stop the ambitious mind that has been coming out like a couple of or few months ago, where that was a big theme that we needed to release and look into, right? We're moving, and now that's where the energy of we are turning poison, that we use words as poison. You see, what you said to other people, what you said yourself was your own self poison. You're poisoning yourself in this game of survival. I hate you, I want you to die, I do this, or they do like, I don't know, like do like voodoo or whatever to wish someone bad or whatever it is, you know, like all this, like when you look at ancient like dramas and like stuff like that, right? And it's all energy, so there's a lot of play going on with that as well. And so now they're like stopping. And it was a poison, and they thought that when they do that, they will be directed to that person, but it's to you. What you say, ill intentions or ill words to others, it's your energy. It's going back to you. So people, but when they're in survival, they're so focused on winning, no matter what, they forget everything. They forget the bigger picture. So that's all they're focusing on, winning. So when the karma, so-called karma, hits back or something, it's back in due time, they don't see and they don't recognize. If they do, they move to a higher level of other game because they learned the lesson. They don't need to repeat that class anymore. You see? Like I'm just explaining in a more like easy to digest sense. It's like you graduated first grade, okay, you passed the test, now second grade, and second grade, third grade, fourth grade, blah, 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 blah. And then the earth is like the final school. So that's why it's like the most difficult. But like in that school, there's many different levels of games. So you just played and passed, you played and passed, you played and passed, boom, 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 boom. You notice the deceptions. You are a lot more aware of like the manipulations, right? The illusions, and you stop playing, or you stop getting played by it. And that's where your level, and the more your level goes up, there's going to be other trickier energies that you need to detect and notice, and just keep playing the game, like because we are still in the transition. And so right now, the poison needs to turn into a nectar of life, was what came on the day before solar eclipse. Now we're preparing. And when it comes here, we need to use our words, the Excalibur, the King Arthur. And we are using the sword of the truth. And the Ace of Swords and the traditional tarot is what is coming, what I see. You're using it to discern with the highest intentions, and you're using it to speak your truth. with the highest intentions, the ones who hold the sword. And when you look at the, like the energy sense in a spiritual sense, you're all spirit. You're not this human body, you're not this human character. You are still a spirit, but you're just tied to this cord to play this game. You're just going like that movie Avatar, right? You're still that person, but you're just in a virtual reality. But your essence is spirit. You never leave spirit. So with that, what's coming is we need to realize we are now moving to the third eye. The shakeup of that turkey, the pineal gland energy, was very significant in the sense we are now moving here to shatter all illusions. And with that, the past 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, past 3 weeks or more, I've been seeing horses, like the horses, like the, in a car, like, I don't know that brand, but, and just today what came was like the Trojan horse as a symbolic sense, the Troy. And what came was with the energy of Shiva and Parvati, the energy of destruction and creation came through on the 20th of solar eclipse. That is tied to the pineal reshake-up of the Gaia's energy. That Shiva is god of destruction, meaning we need to destruct the old in order to create the new. So we need both Shiva and Parvati. And Parvati representing the Shakti, the female, the feminine energies that we all hold, right? And the Shakti has been blocked because in the age of the survival, that Leo energy that started was based on masculinity, the males as the dominant forces, meaning the female energies needed to be hidden or manipulated, and so that feminine energy was blocked basically. Now it needs to reopen to fertilize the ground. That's where I'm here in Hawaii, connecting with the energy of the fertility that's very much present here with the Lemurian energy of the divine feminine energies, and also like the dragon portals here. And yesterday I heavily connected with the Lemurian portal, like Lemurian energies here, and the dragon realm. So we are reviving this. And if you are, okay, so also what is coming is they want me to share Source Gaia and my spirit team. That if you know, I'm not going to explain what Emerald Order is, Amethyst Order is, like Crystal Order, it's a spiritual order. If you're one of those, you are going to connect with 12D galactic dragons, and you already have been, and you will know that it's 12D galactic dragons or not. So that's something that I'm going to share. And that means you have a lot more powerful spiritual powers within you. And if you are connecting with the 12D galactic dragons, you're to work with them and to further, it's basically to that sword of Excalibur. If your energy is not ready, you cannot have it, you cannot pull it up. You see what I mean? It's only for the chosen, in a sense that your energy, your spiritual powers and spiritual energy needed to be I would say, how can I say, needed to be reborn is what's the word that's coming. You needed to, like, so where I shared in the latest video, you may have been this powerful goddess or this, or in like ancient lifetimes that was your reincarnation because you had like certain spiritual rankings or powers, or as like specific, like these orders. But if you haven't done the karmic work, if you're still in the ego play, you cannot have the Excalibur, is what is coming. So it all depends on the energy work that you are doing right now on Earth at this time. And that's also going to affect your spiritual, whoa, it's interesting, the spiritual ranking when you go back to the spirit world based on what you do right now is what is coming. So you may be like deranked or something is coming, demoted, promoted. So it has nothing to do with these titles that you are entitled to. If you're entitled to something, that means you're very much in an ego operation still. So that is what is coming through for some reason, for anyone that may resonate, that they need this information. So you can, but it's not something that you need to force or intend. If you already, so this 12D Galalctic with the emerald, crystal, amethyst order, it's not because you listen to this message and you are trying to connect. It may be not for you, is what is coming. But if you have already done that, and this is like the confirmation that it's for you, is what is coming. So this is a very specific message for specific individuals. And also, whether you're ready to merge with the Archangel Mary's energy in your light body or not, you can still, and everyone can connect with Archangel Mary's energy at this time to be supported with that open-hearted energy, so that you could go into dissolving this, connecting with the Manipura, the fire energy, to turn it into a sacred fire, and then use that sacred fire to further open your heart up, meaning like the fire and water. That was the wave that I saw, like the waves is water, the feminine flow, but on the edge was the fire, meaning that fire also needs to be integrated. And then when I got here, what I received constantly was the bell air, so the air energy, which I started to receive when I was in Sydney, Australia. The air energy started to come through very heavily with the coming of the 12D galactic dragons around that time. The dragon's role is very important right now and very key. They go around all this major energy points around Gaia, clearing up all this energy. They're working very hard. So we also want to thank them, right, for helping us and helping the collective and humanity and Gaia. And Archangel Mary's energy, if you want to connect, if you feel resonating, it's a aquamarine color or like turquoise color, more like blue-green light energy. You can visualize, you can close your eyes, do your breath to center yourself, right? Breathe in, breathe out, relax your shoulders, relax your body, and then visualize this aquamarine or turquoise color energies coming down, pouring down from Archangel Mary through your crown, touching your third eye, throat, heart, or you can even call her in before sleep and then ask Archangel Mary to bathe you in that energy and absorb while you're sleeping. So there are many ways, but if you're ready to integrate with her energy in your auric field, your energy must be ready to receive it. It's not for everyone, but if you are that, this is also is going to be like a confirmation that for already what you did naturally occurred prior to this coming to this video is what is coming. So you could have connected with, all of a sudden connecting with Archangel Mary the past 3 weeks or even like a month is what is coming very heavily. or you just felt so all of a sudden wanted to meditate with Archangel Mary or something of that nature is what is coming. Okay, so you can utilize their support as well. And whenever you connect with these other beings and energies, you always want to make sure that you want to thank them. The purpose behind thanking, or like, oh, thank you, of course they helped you, but like a deeper meaning of that is to help you stay in balance. Meaning you are in an energy of reciprocation, equal reciprocation. You give and then you receive in return. So your energy is not depleted. It's the same way with archangels or other dragons or unicorns, right? You're not just taking. Like, I want everything for myself. I want the unicorns, I want the dragons, I want the archangels. Ooh, like whenever I need it, and then you forget to think. Then you are being in a more like a taking stance, because your energy or consciousness needs to shift and understand the bigger or deeper purpose, that it's not coming because on a strategic mental level, but it has to come from a heart level, that you're genuinely thanking them because you appreciate their support. So that's why I do this as well, like with Patreon channels. It's only going to be for those who are going to genuinely learn, like feeling like they want to reciprocate in appreciation. And it's all individual's choice, you see what I mean? But if someone's wanting to like just take, that person is not for me, you see what I mean? So it's from that, also that self-honoring place, that you may be doing a lot of good to others, and if they only want the free stuff, your energy is going to be depleted. You see what I mean? I want more free, I want more free, I want more from you, because your energy feels nice. I need you to help me this and that. If that's the energy, that person is not for me, you see what I mean? Or if someone is like that to you, you want to learn how to keep the boundaries, or discern, or decide, choose to walk away from that energy. So it's like that, like Excalibur energy is like, you're not for everyone and everyone is not for you, you see what I mean? So don't get caught up too much in people leaving your life, or people not accepting you, not seeing you, not hearing you, not understanding you, or not getting you, or judging you. However it is, they're not for you. Those are not your people, you see what I mean? Your people are going to resonate with your energy, and they will appreciate you. They will genuinely support you and celebrate with you, and they will want you to do good, win, in a sense. Like, they will want you to see thriving, and they want to support you. They want to appreciate you in whatever exchange that is, whether it's like monetary, whether it's emotional, genuine, sincere heart, or that needs to be in balance. So if they're not going to be in your life, moving to the new earth, basically. So but they will still try is what is coming, because we are still in a lot of the overlapping energy. The old energies wanting to attach to you, project, and all of that, to use you as the vessel for their life source. So this game is very like, when I look at it from like this, okay, let's just take a look from like just sitting back at the chair. It's very, very interesting. And when I go outside, it's every day is like a game. Like all these people show up, all these signs and synchronicities, all these events taking place. It is very interesting, but at the same time, especially like when I remember like when I was in Sydney, Australia, when I had to go into the underworld, even though that I know that it's like a game, that it's interesting, but like inside it, it's the emotion. So we are all here to learn about emotions, how to, in a way, manipulate energy, not in a sense of like manipulation in a neutral sense. How to use the energy to create. And so once again, the energy of the Shivas coming through, we need to destruct the old system, old energies. So there was a lot of new revelations that may have come up during this eclipse season. All of a sudden, people's secrets being revealed to the light, like certain celebrities, all of a sudden they're exposed to their ill behaviors or what was going on behind their mask of the public image that they had as an actor or actress or public figures. And so all of a sudden they're losing support, or like all these things could have happened. And vice versa, like I shared in the latest video, all of a sudden this new come up in like this actor who's new, who's casted in this drama, blowing up, right? All of a sudden he's being, or she's being recognized for their great talents, but it's not because they all of a sudden showed up, but it's because all the behind the scene works that they have been doing diligently while they were in that gestation period. They trusted, or they chose to believe in hope, and they worked on themselves, and now it was the time, and you know, so all this reversal energy is coming through. And yesterday I was walking a lot, and then all of a sudden I received a message that in Hawaiian is called pau. It meant done, finished. And then with that, right after, in my third eye, like the vision, I start to see the Wheel of Fortune, and then it just like this, boop, it just turned. But it wasn't like moving like this, but it was just a little turning, but that was all we needed. That's all we needed, like during the solar eclipse, boop, and the energy just shifted. And with that, the Gaia's energy, the rising of the serpent, it's now in the working here in the third eye, the shattering of all illusions. And this is necessary because now we are going to move into a very Neptunian energy flow, where we are having to learn how to navigate in the emptiness, meaning in the dark, in the unknown, which is one of the scariest things in the survival era. Not knowing, right? It could terrify someone. But that's the energy that we need to move into and get used to. So hang tight. No, I'm just kidding, but like, let's have fun. So that's going to be the ride that we have to learn how to navigate through the unknown without feeling the need to control, meaning that was another need that I needed to control in order to survive. That was the belief, right? So we've been working on releasing control, but this is going to really accelerate. So I don't know how it's going to show up as, right? For individuals, it may be very unique. But that's the energy that is to, that we are moving into, is the word that is coming from the Libra season. is what is coming up. So there's a lot of this transformative energy that took place during this eclipse season. And this morning what I received was the astrologically this week the Pluto is squaring Mars in Scorpio. So basically we were going through a lot of this transformative energies during the eclipse season, and now squaring means like a challenging aspect, right? So that challenging aspect also represents a lesson. So when we go through this being centered, we are going to release a huge energy of old habits where that urge or this compulsion, the need to control, to be in control, we are releasing all of that further this week. So however it shows up, which area it is, whether you feel the need to stay in control, you're being called to let that go, to further evolve, further grow, to further ascend or move on, however it is for you. However you resonate with these terms uniquely at this time is something that they want me to share for individuals and collective at this time. And then from the crown, when the Kundalini rises to here, boom, like everything is all connected, it's all going to like, this is like, we found our home within. We are all one. So it's all been like preparing, and that in the story of Shiva and Parvati with this other evil like Hindu god. So in the story that I received as the information was the Shiva was in meditation, and this like evil spirit was using Shiva's sword, which is like the representation of the Excalibur sword of the truth. He was using this for like with ill intentions, killing everyone at his own like whim and stuff like that, right? Destroying everything. And so now people were begging, and people went to Parvati to wake Shiva up, but Shiva is still in meditation. So Parvati said, we cannot interfere him. And people came back again because it was getting worse. Asked Parvati to bear Shiva's child, Shiva's son, and that son is the only one that can help end this evil spirit from using the sword. But while the evil spirits heard this, so they harmed Parvati's fertility energy, which is representing as all these blockages of the fertile energy, divine feminine energy around the Gaia that is connected to the human body as well with the divine feminine energies. So we need to, that's connected also to the heart, like, that loving, compassionate Archangel Mary energy. So the Parvati became infertile because of that manipulation from the evil spirit or the energy. So what Parvati did was Parvati went to the river or the water, and then she created 5 different Shaktis from her Shakti herself, which is like the divine feminine energies. And then using these 5 different Shaktis and the females rising up, or the female being born out of that, she used that 5 different female Shakti energies and added her Shakti to bear the son instead that way, because she couldn't do it herself. She used this other in the story that I received. So was it son Skanda or something that was born, and he ended this evil spirit. So that's a process we are going through right now in a symbolic sense, in a larger sense, that Shiva is now like doing his meditation, that meaning like the old masculine energy of destruction is now coming to an end. But like right now what's taking place is the Shiva is in sleep, so this evil spirit is destroying everything. That's what is happening right now. The destruction is taking place on social, socioeconomic level, geopolitical level, like in politics, like the legal systems and everything, all systems and places and institutions. Basically, every single thing that we are surrounded by is the byproduct of, or the rooted from that survival era. Even all the food that we are eating, it has a lot of ties to the political manipulating power structure games. So all this food that we are eating nowadays, it's only been like 100 years. All this meat eating of this heavy dish is all from they had me see all this food culture and history behind food while I was in Hawaii. And even like the, is it called musubi here with the spam and the meat, that's the rice. It's very like, now it's one of the food of the Hawaii. It's only been like since the 1980s. So this woman created this musubi, and all this like heavy carb, heavy meat, greasy fried foods were from the era of slavery, because the slaves and the workers, or the, you know, these like laborers needed high calorie diet or the food source as energy. So it came from them a lot. When you look at all the history behind the foods, a lot of the foods started within the slavery, or the people who didn't have money, they couldn't afford meat, so they started using all this intestines of the animals, and that's where a lot of this food developed in the like in Italy or in Korea. The poor people couldn't eat, so they used all this leftovers that they threw out. They started to develop all this. So like all this food is not in match to the new energy anymore. So also what we eat also will be shifting as well. And also when we look at all this, like the fine dining, so-called, like the cuisine, that's especially from like the French or the France, it's all based on this hierarchical authoritative structure. So basically all this like fine cuisine or like haute cuisine, that idea was developed based on the structure of the army or the military. So it's very hierarchical. So when you look at like all these TV programs, like in British TV shows, like what's his name? I forgot his name. Like this famous chef, he's like a restaurateur, right? And Hell's Kitchen, like all this like cooking competition where like he's like saying stuff and throwing stuff in the kitchen. That was based on that era of the army, hierarchical, like very much structured, disciplined. It's not much about the nutrition. It talks about nutrition, but it's more about aesthetics. It's more about like an art form, like it's got developed in a different way, but how it's rooted, the energy is all based on that old energy system. And so when you look at the program now, you'll be I remember I used to watch, I loved watching all the cooking shows all my life, so I remember watching them. And for me, it was like studying psychology when I was like, meaning like I look at the program and I would study the psychology of the people. But when I think back to those moments, I am very surprised at all this verbal abuse that was allowed, that's accepted socially, culturally, just because he's like a well-known chef or of authority, or who won these competitions or whatever it is, like curse on people, like curses and say stuff on people. Like he's trying to help people, but I also understand that he learned that from the old, you know, that's what he's trained with. So he's part of the system, and, you know, perhaps there's like a intention of helping people. There's a humane side, but that's what I learned. So that's how the abuse is being handed down from one generation to the next without realization, without consciousness. And even though you're trying to help, it's like it's very abusive, but it's very much socially accepted. It's very weird, but still that's the energy that in a lot of the households, a lot of the TV shows. I forgot the name of that movie. That's what is coming up. This guy who was a drummer, and I forgot the name. So if I, you know, search the name, I'll put it on the video here. It's a very like sick story, but like this guy who played the drums, and then there was this like an older man who was well known in the music industry as like a top drummer or something like that. And the young man became the trainee of this old man who's considered like a master in the industry, and he started to train him, but like to a very like point of psychological abuse and all this. At the end he became like very good at drumming, but there was so much abuse. Like the driving force behind his drum skills and when he was playing the energy was not through like pure love and joy, but it was through extreme like pain and trauma and abuse. I forgot the name of the movie. Like it won it was like an independent film, and it became very well known because it won like very highly claimed like the prize or something in Splash. Was it Splash? Yeah, the Splash. I think it's Splash. Yes, I don't need to search extra. It was Splash, I think. Yeah, so that movie. So we allow this still very much in schools, in family dynamics and work, and so we need to activate that Shakti, the divine feminine energies, and now we are grounding the energy right now, just beginning stage, grounding the energy. And next year everything's going to speed up. It's going to be very much the solar energy next year with very fiery horse energy. So I don't know how that's going to affect us, but we need to solidify this end well now, end well. Laying the ground, closing out cycles, continuing to release control. And we are going to be also trained soon with how to navigate better in the unknown. So it is all coming. Is there anything else? Okay, so nothing is coming up, so that's all for this video, this message. So wherever you are, whatever you're dealing with, I want to share love and support and words of encouragement. That I also encourage you to share the support with those of you who are around. If you resonate, of course, because everything is your choice. That it's hard for us to notice at times how much work that we are doing at times, because we are continuously healing, we're continuously doing something. But okay, what I'm guided to share is that at times it's okay for us to take a break and celebrate the milestones, right? How far we have come, how far you have come. And it goes for me as well. I've been working very hard, and at times I don't even realize how far I have come. And so take a moment to celebrate yourself in however form it is. Allow yourself to feel more joy, allow yourself to play a little bit more at times, like be playful with whatever it is. Be more lighthearted. You have lifted a lot of the heavy weights, so we are all learning, right? It's okay to stay lighthearted. It's okay to have fun. Yeah, we sometimes forget when we're in these cycles. So it's all like it's a mixture, like excitement, terror, excitement, terror, like a ride, right? But it's not the ride that's like this or stagnant or going down, but it's the ride, terror, excitement, but it's heading upwards. The movement is upward. You see what I mean? So just remember that you are in the right path is what is coming, and that is coming as the last message, even though it may feel like there are times that there are energies of feeling harmonious, balance, and then off balance and feeling certain things, but you're moving up. Remember the bigger picture. Go into higher perspective, okay? And stay faithful, stay trusting that you're always in the right place at the right time, and learn to release self-doubt if you resonate, of course, okay? Is the last message that is coming for me to share. So with that, I appreciate and thank you for being here. And if you just wanted to also ask you how you're doing as well, that this becomes like this was very helping you, very helping, very much helping you, and that there's something that I cannot stop. I feel like there's something before I go. Okay, what is this? Why can I end the video now? So as I'm tapping in, like the dragons are around me to give a quick transmission, the energy clearing. It's fire dragon, 12D galactic fire dragon. That's my personal dragon. The Kuma is coming. To help you to activate the sacred fire within you in your Manipura solar plexus to continue to rise up. The serpent can rise, the Kundalini continues to rise in balance, in divine feminine, divine masculine in balance, and union within. And the crown chakra is the union within finally, and the union beyond. So now, burning everything that's not serving you, burning old habits and patterns and attachments and old energies. Okay, so for some reason they came through at the last and they want me to continue this on Patreon and put it on there for anyone that wants to reciprocate and support me and resonating to connect with this further. They want me to do this. So I will continue this on Patreon. So I'll see you there if you feel called to. And then I'll just wrap up here now. Okay, and with that, I'll see you in my next videos. Bye.